Hi guys, it's Natalie. Question, is the following statement true or false? Great ministries are awesome places to work for everyone. And the answer is amazing ministries know a very simple concept and, more importantly, act on it with conviction. They know that in order to pursue the mission that God has given them, they need the right team of people behind that mission. And they are not going to be so desperate for volunteers that they're going to let anybody in. They're going to wait on hiring decisions in order to find the right person, the right fit. They are going to build teams of people with the skill and the talent and the holiness in order to be able to drive a mission forward successfully. If you're the leader of a ministry or organization, it is one of your primary responsibilities to recruit, build, train, and form the team of people who will be successful in implementing the mission. You're not just looking for anybody, you're looking for the right people that you can trust their character, you trust that their love for Jesus. You know that when you delegate a task or responsibility to these people, that they are going to accomplish it and they're going to do a great job. And two, if you recruit somebody who maybe don't have the skill and talent yet, you might be recruiting them because you see the potential in them, knowing that they have the work ethic and, again, the character that they will build in order to get the skill set that they need in order to drive the mission forward. As well, they're going to be team players, they're going to be honest. You are not just looking for anybody, you are looking for the right people to build up that team. And not everybody is going to be a good fit. And some people are going to feel very uncomfortable meeting those high standards because they don't have what it takes. The people you're looking for are going to invest their time, their talent, and every resource that they have at their disposal in order to be able to further this mission. When you find people like that, that's pure gold. Those people can be so hard to find, but it's worth taking your time. It's worth being picky, because when you have the right team of passionate and talented and holy individuals, you can literally take on the world. But the opposite can also happen. If you have a team that's not good at their jobs, and if they don't have the character formation in order to work well as a team, maybe they struggle with passive-aggressive behavior, that's poison. Not just to the people working on the team, but also to the ministry and to the mission. Let me share with you the story of a saint who learned the hard way that if you don't find the right people on your team, that it's going to lead to disaster. This is Saint Francis Xavier, who was a good friend of Ignatius and who helped found and build up the Jesuit order. But he was also a great missionary. In fact, it's purported that he baptized roughly around 30,000 people through a variety of different missionary journeys. Even though Xavier was really successful at those baby steps of evangelization and bringing people into the faith through baptism, he knew that a lot more was needed in order to help people to become disciples. They needed to be catechized, they needed to be nurtured and encouraged, they needed to be formed in their faith. And he had noticed that a lot of the European priests who were being sent over were rather clumsy, even arrogant, that these priests were really struggling with a lot of the cultural barriers and working with the native people. So Xavier decided that he wanted to establish a school in which he could recruit native peoples to be priests, knowing that those priests would know the language, that they would understand the culture, and that they would be able to meet people where they are to really build them up and encourage them in the way that those clumsy European priests wouldn't be able to do. So he founded the College of Holy Faith, and he filled it full of native peoples who were excited about moving forward towards ordination as priests. This was a brilliant initiative. However, something happened that really disrupted his plans. First, Xavier's primary call was as a missionary. He wasn't being called to stay there in order to continue the founding and building up of his college. And he had a man in mind who would be able to lead this new initiative, but he decided decided that, oh, we won't go for him, even though he's a holy man, even though he's really sold out on this mission. But there's a lot of European politicians who have a lot of power and influence in the local area, and this man is not one of them. And he's going to be crushed by those frankly arrogant and awful people. It would be better maybe to find somebody from Europe who would be able to lead the college, who might be able to navigate those local politics a little bit easier. So he wrote to Ignatius requesting that somebody would be sent who could continue to build up the college. And Ignatius sent him an extremely qualified individual by the name of Antonio Gomez. Now, Gomez was very well educated. He understood the Jesuit college system inside out, and he was very well connected. The thing is that when he showed up, Francis felt something was a little bit off, but he needed to go on his missionary journeys, and so with some misgivings, he turned over his college to Gomez and headed out on his journeys. When he returned 2 years later, he returned to utter disaster. What Gomez did was that he utterly destroyed the entire principle for which the college was founded in the first place. He actually expelled all of the natives. He recruited rich European kids, and he quickly pushed them through the system and got them ordained, which made him look fantastic among all the other local politicians and ingratiated him with all the other leaders in Europe. He essentially was looking pretty darn good. The problem was that all the priests that he was pushing through and ordaining were entirely unfit for working with the native peoples. When Francis returned, he discovered that his dream of building up an army of native priests who could minister to the needs of the native people had been utterly destroyed. It was beyond redemption at that point. Xavier, looking back, could see that Gomez was not a good fit because he didn't fit in with the core ideology of the ministry for these reasons. Gomez was not a virtuous man. He was not rooted in prayer. He did not share a passion for the group of people that Xavier wanted to serve, the native people. He, in fact, was completely ignorant of their needs, and worse, he chose to remain ignorant about the poor natives and their culture. He did not identify with the mission to form native priests, and his vision was completely different. He wanted to bring idealized European education systems to the East instead of trying to work alongside Xavier to form an army familiar with the native people who could disciple, nurture, and pastor the local people who desired to fall more in love with the church. And this is why it's so painful for Xavier. He knew it. The moment that Gomez showed up, he knew that he did not share that vision or the mission that the core ideology for the ministry expressed, but he allowed him to stay in leadership in spite of it, at the cost of the entire mission completely crumbling to the ground in utter ruin. The good thing is, though, is that he learned from his mistake. Even though Xavier was desperate for good people who could build up his team in order to minister to the 30,000 people that he had baptized, when he was sent another man who was also extremely well qualified, he sat him down and he grilled him on all things theological. The man was perfect, had wonderful answers. But this time, when Xavier asked, "What is your experience with the native peoples?" and the man replied that he had none, this time, Xavier didn't rush it. You can almost hear his sigh of disappointment and despair to find such a well-qualified person. But he said, "If only you had the experience." And he sent this qualified individual to a podunk town in the middle of nowhere so that he could work and get to know the native people, so that he could get that experience that he would need in order to be a good leader. Xavier refused to let that man become a leader with power and influence until he had embraced the core ideology and had fallen in love with the native people. Xavier had learned his lesson, a harsh lesson, but a good lesson. Not everyone is going to be a good fit for the team. They must embrace the core ideology of the mission. No matter how desperate you are, do not let somebody onto a team if they're not a good fit. In fact, later we actually have records of him writing to St. Ignatius, laying out the qualifications for future missionaries, saying, this is what it takes in order to do this job well. Don't send me anybody who does not meet these qualifications. Don't make the same mistake of Xavier. Build the right team. Don't be so desperate for people that you will take anybody. If you need to, grow your own people. Build them up, train them up, form them, and give them a heart and a passion for the core ideology that you so prayerfully discerned with your mission and your vision, the group of people that you serve, the values that the ministry holds on to. You need people who are sold out for that in order to be on that team. And as a leader, you need to be comfortable with knowing that not everybody is going to be a good fit. And it might be because they lack the skill set. It might be that they're not trainable. It might be that they lack the character, meaning that they're poison to the other team members around them. They might be apathetic to the mission. Those things are not okay. And frankly, if you have somebody like that on your team, you need to let them go. Is that harsh? Maybe, but it's true. Actually, it's a mercy to let people go who are not a good fit for the team. Give them a chance to move on with their lives. Give them a chance to move someplace where they are a good fit, where their gifts are welcomed, where they are encouraged and supported, where they fit the value system for the ministry. And with that empty space that they leave, recruit somebody who is a great fit, who's going to help you propel the ministry that God has entrusted to you forward. So build the right team. You don't want just anybody. You want the right people. Question: what do you think? How do you know the difference between when somebody is trainable, when with the right support and encouragement and training that they could grow into the perfect fit on your team, as opposed to somebody who is not a good fit and who you need to let go? How do you figure that out? Tell us, comment below. In the meantime, like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, and keep going for it. Leaders have to make hard decisions sometimes. Do it to the honor and glory of God. I'll see you guys next week.